Okay, so we are going to be writing the Jacques Cousteau essay today. And so I want to start with just the introduction for this video. So the very first thing that I want you to do is we're going to put our heading on our paper. And so how Miss Linton likes it is you can barely kind of see. Let me pull another piece of paper that has a better pink line on the side. Well, all right, so here I've got my pink line, which shows me where my margin is. And remember, the holes need to go on the left side. Do we rip this paper out of our notebooks?
No.
No. Miss Linton, when she takes it up, she wants to see that the holes have not been torn, and I don't want to see anything frayed on this side, okay? So if you need notebook paper, you can raise your hand and I can give you a couple of pieces. But I do not want you ripping it out, okay? Because when you are writing, it needs to look nice and neat and professional. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my heading on this paper. And so I'm going to start off in the top right margin, and I'm going to write my name. And I'm going to write today's date, which is 10/21/2020. And then I'm going to write the subject, which is writing. Okay? Now, I'm going to skip a line, and I'm going to come down to the next line, and I'm going to go to about the center, maybe a little more to the left than where the center is, and I'm going to put an open quotation marks, because now I'm going to put the title of the passage that I am writing about. And so that is Jacques Cousteau. Okay? And so that's kind of centered on that skip a line next line. Alright, so then I'm going to skip a line again, and I'm going to come all the way to the left. And I'm going to start my introduction. Can you raise your hand and tell me what I need to be sure to include in my introduction, Christopher?
Detail.
Not details in my introduction. Zori? Okay, I need all of that, but I'm talking about content. Like, what's gonna make up my introduction? Where am I gonna get that from? Not my text. Not my passage. My text chart looking at the prompt. Who said that? Good job, Cameron. Alright, so we're going to look at the prompt to help me get my introduction. So the prompt says, you have read Jacques Cousteau, a passage about a famous man who studied the sea. So I'm going to start there. I'm going to say, Jacques Cousteau and I'm going to put that in quotation marks because it is the type. Here I'm using it, or I'm referring back to the title of the passage. So Jacques Cousteau is a passage. Alright, then I get to my stop sign, skip a line about a famous man who studied the sea. Stop sign, skip a line. Okay? Now, who can tell me why we skip lines in our writing? Zoe, why do I skip lines in my writing?
So if your teacher needs to comment on, like, if you made a mistake or something.
And I need to make a comment on it, I've got room to do that. Okay, good. All right, so Jacques Cousteau is a passage about a famous man who studied the sea. passage contains two main stop sign, skip a line, ideas about Jacques Cousteau. Now here, I'm referring to the person. So I don't put the quotation marks because I'm not talking about the passage here, I'm talking about the person, okay? So Jacques Cousteau is a passage about a famous man who studied the sea. This passage contains two main ideas about Jacques Cousteau. The first main idea is that Jacques Cousteau was a famous inventor. And I got that from right here on my takes chart where we said Jacques Cousteau was an inventor. Okay? So what am I going to put in the next sentence?
Jacques Cousteau was an
Environmental activist. Okay? The second main idea is that Jacques Cousteau was an environmental activist. Okay? Now, I'm going to kind of tie this up a little bit to kind of let it flow now into my next paragraph, which is going to start the body of Jacques Cousteau, and it's going to cover details about his inventions and details about him being an environmental activist. So, Jacques Cousteau is a passage about a famous man who studied the sea. This passage contains two main ideas about Jacques Cousteau. The first main idea is that Jacques Cousteau was a famous inventor. The second main idea is that Jacques Cousteau was an environmental activist. These are the two main ideas in the biographical, big word, passage. And then I'll come down here, and when I go to stop sign, skip a line, this is half of a line. And so typically, if you write on that line and you have a letter that drops down below the line, like a G or a little J or a Y or anything like that, then the problem you're going to run into is it's not got somewhere to drop down. So you're going to have to squish it above the line and it's not going to look right. So I like to go to the second piece of paper. Now, the reason, if you look right here, because the pen that I am writing with will be the same kind of pen that I would make comments on your essay with. And so if you look on the back of this paper, you see that my pen is bled through. And so imagine if I had used this pen to write on the front side of your essay, say this was your essay in pencil, and I used this pen to write notes all about it, or all around it. When I turned it over to start reading the rest of your essay, I'm not going to be able to see it, especially if it's on the lines that I've written your notes, the notes that you need to make changes and stuff on. Okay? So that's why I suggest you don't write on the back of a piece of paper, that instead you go to a second sheet of paper. Okay? So do y'all understand why it's important that we go to a second sheet of paper and not right on the back? Okay, I will make it just a minute. Hang on. Alright, so these are the two main ideas in the biographical passage about, and I'm going to come all the way to the top line of the second page to start that. Okay? And so that is my introductory paragraph. Did I talk about the prompt? Because the main thing the prompt wanted me to do was to tell what the main idea of this passage is. So the main idea of this passage is that Jacques Cousteau was an inventor and Jacques Cousteau was an environmentalist. So I said the passage contains two main ideas about Jacques Cousteau. The first main idea, this is my answer, is that Jacques Cousteau was a famous inventor. The second main idea is that Jacques Cousteau was an environmental activist. Okay, so here I've restated and answered my prompt. So now my body is going to go into more what? Detail. Okay, so that is the introduction to my essay on the two main ideas for Jacques Cousteau. So the next video that I'm going to do will cover the body. So we will talk about giving details and pulling text evidence from the passage that's going to support him as an inventor and him as an environmental activist. Okay?